Hey, hey. Okay, it's loading up. Okay, welcome. I'm Rachel Labus, and I am back. This is Wednesday. It's Wednesday, guys. When you see me, you know it's Wednesday night, 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. And I am here today with another sister of mine, and we are here to share. This is our Natural Health Wellness Forum. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to multitask
Sure.
here. So I have my sister Shizuko here from San
Hi. Hi, Rachel.
Mexico. Hey, Shizuko. And it is Men's Health Awareness Month. So, what's going on this month? This week, we are actually going to talk about prostate. And I'm going to be honest, I think I was maybe in my late 30s before I even realized what a prostate is. So Shizuko's here with us today to talk more about natural, first of all, what it is. And because we either know someone or have a loved one that is suffering from some sort of symptom of prostate complications, right? So
Mhm.
first talk about what is prostate. What is the prostate for you guys that don't know? And the prostate is a part of the male reproductive system, which includes the penis, prostate, seminal vesicles, and testicles. The prostate is located just below the bladder and in front of the rectum. It is about the size of a walnut and surrounds the urethra, which if you don't know what the urethra is that part where your urine comes out of and it's wrapped around it, okay? It produces the fluid that makes up part of the semen. So it's in a very vital place, very important place for men. So I think that's why it's very important to talk about it, because if that gets messed up, you're going to have a whole lot of other issues going on. So I am just going to introduce Shizuko and bring her into this discussion because it is a forum and we do have to share this information. So tell us, Shizuko, like how many men actually suffer from any prostate issues?
Surprisingly, a lot. I didn't know about the prostate because Rachel, we don't have that. We women do not have that problem,
Right, exactly.
But over 50 years old, 14 million men in the US have had that issue in
Uh,
2010. That's a lot of people. And they're
it is.
saying 1 out of 8 are diagnosed during their lifetime. That's
Wow,
big.
that is a lot. But so a little bit of the research I did, the first thing I hear when I hear somebody say, oh, I got prostate or I have prostate issues, my mind immediately goes to cancer.
But today we're not really talking particularly about the cancer. Um, there are non-cancerous prostate issues, a lot
Mhm,
of them. And
mhm.
most common one is called enlarged, I mean, is enlarged prostate.
Right, right,
That
right.
one is called, I learned this, benign prostatic hyperplasia
Mm,
and BPH.
mm. And as I'm as we're doing this forum every week, I've been educating myself more and more, and I've really been into health for many years. I'm my own self-learned doctor. WebMD is my friend. But one thing that I've learned in this process, and I'm becoming more and more aware of, is that most disorders and diseases stem from inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
We hear enlarged prostate, the first thing that comes to my mind is inflammation.
Yeah, definitely. That's what
Mhm.
it is. We can
Yes.
talk about that. But I wanted to ask audience if they know anyone who has the prostate issues.
Mm.
And if you know them, how old were those men? I wanted to know that.
Mm. So I can answer that. I personally have a few family members that have, one has actually been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and praise to the power above, he survived and he beat it. And he's doing
Mm,
well,
that's
and he's
great.
actually taking a supplement that's helping him as well, naturally, a natural.
That's great. That's great.
Yes.
Naturally is the best way.
Yes. And then I have a couple of family members that have, like you said, they're older, that have had enlarged prostate, right? And that can be miserable too,
Mhm.
or at least a really big pain in the butt,
Yeah.
almost. So when we say how old, you mentioned earlier that 50 plus is usually when those issues start. So
Right.
does the age really matter?
Yeah, they were saying that it's so rare to find people who are having a problem if they're under 40. So 51 years old to 60, about a 50% of men have some sort of an issue. And listen to this, when you get 80 years old and over, 90% of people do get to have that kind of sort of problem. That's a
Wow.
lot, you
Yeah,
know.
that's called majority in my book.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to this. I mean, there's something going on. So, what about, are there any particular races or?
Yes. Unfortunately, yes. Uh, I understand that African American men get most, and next is Hispanic, and
Mm,
third is a Native American man.
mm,
I'm Japanese, Rachel, and Asian American men have a lot less. And it's
mm,
very interesting. And there are so many theory that they talk about. They
mm.
said we Japanese take a hot bath every night before
Oh,
we go to bed. And then they were saying that a hot bath does help some.
what do you think the hot bath actually, how, when you were being raised and in your culture, is it just something you do, or is there a reason behind why you take a hot bath every night?
We do. We like to be clean. We like to be clean, right? So we take a hot bath, before you go into your bed. You
Mm,
want it to clean, your body
mm,
so that you don't really mess up your bed. I guess
mm,
I
mm.
I really feel so dirty if I go to bed without taking either shower or bath. And
Right,
it's a habit also. We grew up taking a hot bath. And
right,
also the diet matters too. A lot
right,
of
right.
researchers are saying maybe that's the reason, but we don't know. But
Well,
that's what.
since I'm African American, since I'm Black, I can speak on my own people. So
Mhm.
just mentioning, we have the highest, and then Hispanic, and then Native American. First thing I think of is fried foods.
Definitely,
Diet. I
definitely.
think of, you know, and I can't speak for everyone, but in general, we do tend to eat more fried foods.
Well,
Oh,
let me tell you, there are certain type of people get more than the other type, and the
okay.
one of that is a fat, high fat diet,
Mm,
and that maybe that's why too. And
mm,
Japanese, we do eat fried food, but not as much, and we
mm,
eat quite a lot of fish,
mm.
as you probably know.
Are you talking about like tempura? Is that the
Yeah, but you know
talking
what?
about?
Japanese don't eat tempura every single day. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right, right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, some people think that we Japanese eat sushi every night. No.
Right, right.
Yeah. So certain type of people that let me just expand a little bit about
Okay.
that, Rachel. Of course, I talk about the age. So the people over 40 years old, And if you have a family history, like your father had one, your brother had one, or your uncle, your maybe grandpa, then you have a tendency to get it. And also medical condition. If you are, if you are having a problem with obesity or type 2 um, diabetic, those people tend to get that a higher rate than other people who do not. And also, if you don't exercise regularly, the people who exercise regularly get less. So all that matters. But
all that matters.
mhm,
The interesting thing is everything that you mentioned, like some of the symptoms or the risk, the higher risk,
mhm,
all of that can be mitigated by free things,
mhm,
a different choice in diet,
mhm,
because I don't care what anybody says, when you make certain food choices, yeah, certain types might cost a little bit more,
mhm,
the better quality
mhm,
about your health, which is priceless,
mhm.
right? So do I choose a bag of donuts or do I choose? Is that one of your favorites, Shizuko? You like donuts?
No, you know what? I probably donut once in 4 to 5 months, more, even more, maybe once in 6 months, something
Yeah.
like that.
Same here.
I like donut, but I don't crave for it.
Right. Well, and that's the thing that I've been understanding about choosing the right diet is that
Mhm.
the healthier you eat and the longer you do it, the less you crave the bad foods.
That's for sure. Because
Yes,
as you know, sugar is addictive.
very, very,
So if
very much so.
you eat few times a week, you start craving it and you have to have it. No?
Right.
But once you really cut it and you just don't crave for it anymore.
hmm It's addictive. So, and then
Yes.
the other thing you mentioned is a sedentary lifestyle, no movement, no
Mhm.
exercise. Mary, which by the way, you guys can watch the first show we did on that
Mhm.
first forum. Mary was on and she talked about, oh no, that was what we did in April. That's right. She talked about mini movements or
Mhm.
just movement in general. You
Mhm.
have to get up and run a marathon,
Mhm.
just a walk around the block.
Mhm.
Well, all of this contributes to the health of your prostate too.
Mhm.
Take baby steps, right?
Mhm.
Also, let's move into talking about how to help prevent it,
Mhm.
make it better. We started on that, with
Mhm.
and stuff. What else can we do?
Well, of course, as you mentioned, the movement, we are not talking about, really hard exercise, but maybe
hmm
walking,
hmm
or just move around in the house more than just sitting at the couch. You don't want to be a couch potato. And
I have a suggestion. When you go to the store, park at the far end of the parking lot. So
that's a great idea.
yeah, don't look,
Rachel,
don't go to the. Go
yeah,
ahead.
I used to find the closest parking space I can.
To the door.
To the door. That was my thing. But nowadays, I try to walk. So
Yes.
I try to park in kind of empty area so that I don't have to worry about my car getting hit. And also, I could have a few more steps. So,
Yes. Yes. Um, that's important because our society has created this convenient lifestyle.
mhm,
Convenient. Even
mhm,
even go to the store, not even walk. You can get into a little buggy, right?
that's true. That's true.
you know. So, and not to discount people's disabilities, but
Mhm,
it's just out of laziness. Like
yeah.
I really don't want to walk. So I think I'm gonna, you know, then we got to check our mindset because
Mhm.
the less active we are, the worse our diet is, the more inflammation and chaos goes in our body.
That's true.
We did talk about diet, right? So that's important, but we also talk about supplements too.
Yes, definitely. Well, the diet is very important, as
Mhm.
you know, and some of the doctors are really for American men
Mhm.
suggesting Mediterranean type of diet. So
Oh,
instead of a high fat diet, you do need some fat, but you can
yes.
get the good fat from like olive oil, you know,
Extra virgin olive oil.
right? Or
Hmm.
like avocado and
Yes.
fish oil, all
Yes.
those good oil putting
Yes.
into your system,
Yes.
and then very clean food, right? And
Hmm.
maybe instead of eating red meat, you could maybe change it to more like a fish. Or what
Salmon.
about,
Salmon's awesome.
yeah,
Salmon is really high in omega-3 fats, and it's denser, so it fills you up a little bit more than like maybe tilapia or something.
and the vegetable base, protein,
Mm.
and that would be like a beans. And they were saying that fermented soybean is really excellent for, especially for prostate issues.
Fermented soybean, what like what? What is that?
Um, we Japanese,
Kimchi?
huh?
Like kimchi?
No,
No.
yeah, I'm talking about fermented soybean.
Soybeans. I've never had that one
I
before.
know, I know.
That's Japanese.
It's Japanese, and then
Okay.
also you can get it at the health food store. Tempeh, fermented
Okay.
soybean, kind of like a fish cake, and you can get that. We Japanese eat so-called natto, and that is a fermented soybean. I and my husband probably eat natto at least once in 3 days.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And we love it. But for Americans, I have not really met that many Americans who could stand it. But that's what the most of doctors do recommend, to have a
Mm,
fermented. Soybeans itself may not be so good, but fermented soybeans really good for you.
okay. Fermented. I'm gonna try that.
But it smells.
Okay. I think I'm gonna try that.
So you have to have a acquainted taste, but it's really
Yes.
good. And
Well,
so you can always change the diet.
right, right. Anything else that doctors have recommended for prostate that you can think of?
Well, of course, not only that, but also, let's see, anything actually fermented, a soybean could be miso. You know what miso is, right?
Love miso. That's fermented?
It's a fermented soybeans.
I did not know that. I just like it.
You just like it. Oh, that's good. And leafy vegetable, but dark leaf, and
Dark leaf.
vitamin A. Those things contains vitamin A. So
Mhm.
kind of like kale, you know, broccoli, anything. All those vegetable, very important.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
carrots, all that. And then
That's
most of all, you want to eat tomatoes. But did you know that tomatoes does not work well if you just eat it fresh? Rather than that, because what we are after is a lycopene. It's a
mm,
carotenoid
mm,
inside of tomatoes.
mhm.
And lycopene you can get the most if you cooked tomatoes, or like tomato paste have a lot
Uh,
more lycopene than tomato itself.
really? So once it's been broken down, something in the tomato, because I know, so what carotenoids are is the natural pigmentation in the tomato. So
Mhm,
in tomatoes, the specific carotenoid is called lycopene,
mhm,
and that's known very well for men's health. So what
right.
Zuko is saying is that just slicing up a tomato is not going to be as effective unless that tomato is stewed or simmered or cooked
Mhm,
now.
mhm, mhm,
Okay,
right.
that's a good idea.
Yeah. So, just that, but it's hard to have that much tomatoes per day, right?
Right.
So why not to get all those things as a supplement?
Yes. Yes. And like I stated earlier, I have a family member who's actually on supplements and has been doing very well, very well. So we probably can't eat the USDA requirements to get the full balance of fruits and vegetables we need every day. So my sister and I here always suggest supplements. So we have a wealth of knowledge about supplements. That is for sure.
Yes.
So I really thank you today. Is there anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, you know what? I have learned a lot about prostate. And
Yes.
yeah, because we don't have it, as I mentioned, we don't have it. So we
Right.
don't have to worry about it. But
Right.
our loved ones might get it.
Yes.
So it's good to
Yes.
know, in
Yes.
the early stage. Not don't just panic when you become 50 some years old and start having issue. You gotta start early,
Early.
early. It's a
Yes.
habit
Yes.
of your lifestyle. And
Yes.
also, they're saying let me add just a few more things, if that's okay, Rachel.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, the caffeinated drinks are not that good, and alcohol drinks not good either for prostate. So if
Mm,
you're gonna drink very how do you say it, not overdo it.
right.
Maybe, yeah, few cups of, I mean, few bottles of beer may not hurt, but don't overdo it.
Well, I've heard too, if you're going to drink alcohol, for every drink you have, drink water.
Mm-hmm.
Pulling in water because
Mm-hmm.
what it does is it helps mitigate and counter effect what the alcohol does.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother show.
Yeah. And then
Discussion,
another
right?
thing is which I love, too much spice is not that good either,
Mm,
because that's going to really make the prostate more uh,
inflamed.
inflated. Yeah.
Mm,
So inflammation is the worst thing, right? And it's
right.
not only in the prostate, anywhere in the body.
Anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere in the body. And those things that we talk about, the carotenoids, definitely help reduce
Yes.
the inflammation. But the best one so far that I have tried myself is hydrogenized water.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, it really calms down the inflammation
In the body
in the body.
to the cellular level.
Right,
All inflammation starts.
right.
Oh,
And then if you have never tried that, try it and see how it helps you. That's my
yes.
suggestion.
Yes, yes, yes. We can definitely give you more information about that. But I just want to say, make sure you share the video. I meant to say that at the beginning and I forgot. We're just starting this. Please share. If you like the information, please like. I do have a YouTube channel as well, and I will post that information later. So I want to thank you, Shizuko, for sharing all this vast information in
Thank
condensed
you.
time for those people out there who know someone who's struggling or who is suffering from prostate, whatever that looks like, there's always hope. And we're here to share the hope of doing things naturally. So I want to thank you guys for coming and taking your 15 minutes out to be with us. And thank you, my sister, my
Thank
big
you.
sister. Love you, Shizuko, and you guys have a good day.
Oh, don't you want to tell next week? We'll be
Oh, next week. Yes, next week we have Kat, who is
Mhm,
a licensed massage therapist, and she's going to be talking with us about lymphatic drainage.
mhm.
I look forward to that.
Me too.
The
Me
whole,
too.
and that's something I'm excited about too. So, well, thank you, and you
Yeah, thank you.
for wearing us up. Have a good night.
Have a great night. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank